For your week 3 test on Industrial Revolution, you're going to have this image right here. And from this image, you're going to be asked several different questions. You need to know what kind of conclusion can you draw from looking at this picture and what her working conditions were like. Well, we know just by looking at this girl that she looks exhausted. You can tell she's tired. When you look around this picture, there's nowhere for her to sit, so she's more than likely she is standing on her feet all day. You also need to know that this picture represents the Fair Labor Standard Act. The Fair Labor Standard Act. And this picture, you can also tell that this photograph was taken during the Industrial Revolution because this child is working in a factory. So during this time was when it was legal for children to work. There were no laws against it. Okay, so one of the things you need to know in your test also says, why were children hired to work in factories during the Industrial Revolution? You need to know that, for one, their wages for the children were very low. They earned 40 cents a day. There were no laws against children working in factories, and their families were very poor and they needed the extra income. So their families needed the help. That's why these children were having to work. It's very sad. Under the Industrial Revolution, here at the top, it says, by the mid-1800s, the Industrial Revolution was in full swing here in the United States. Thousands of people rushed to the big cities to find jobs in plants and factories. So you need to know that the word plant in this particular sentence and everything we've learned about this week in the Industrial Revolution means a big, large workshop and factory. This is not talking about a tomato plant or a flower. So this type of plant means a large workshop, somewhere where you're going to see people working. Right here under from homemade to mass produced, you need to know that people's lives changed for the better during the Industrial Revolution because after the invention of the sewing machine and all of these new things, factories were able to make clothing faster and cheaper. So because it was easier, it made it cheaper and faster to produce more of the goods that were sold. Okay, under Cities of Promise, you need to know that in the early 1900s, people flocked to the large cities during the Industrial Revolution because that is where most of the large factories were where these people could work. So the jobs were located in the factories, which were located in the larger cities. Okay, under Inventions Timeline, we're going to look at the Explore More. You need to know that all of these were inventions during the Industrial Revolution. The sewing machine, telephone, and the steamboat. Under Workers Unite, you need to know this man, Samuel Gompers. Mr. Gompers improved the lives of factory workers. He led the effort to organize the American Federation of Labor, the AFL, and became its first president in 1886. And you also need to know that a Nickelodeon was a small theater that charged a nickel for a customer to see a live show or a short film. The word Nickelodeon comes from the price of the show, a nickel, and the Greek word for theater, odeon.